Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Welcome to my channel Code View and Talk. This is going to be third video in the series of scenario based questions. I have already made two videos prior to this video where I have discussed about like how to create a REST endpoints and how to make connection with the database. And this video is going to be in addition of those two videos. So if you have not gone through those videos, I would highly recommend to go and watch those two videos first so that you will be able to understand this video better. So this video is going to be about handling the error in the Spring Boot project. So you can see that the scenario here is a user try to fetch details of a book that does not exist in the database. So, how would you handle this scenario gracefully and return an appropriate HTTP status code and error message? So, it's basically about handling error in the application. So, here the scenario which I have taken is about fetching a book from the database, and if the book details is not present in the database, then how are you going to handle this scenario? So, this was the questions. So, let's move to now IntelliJ, where I have already made the project, and as I said that this code is going to be on top of the previous two videos because I am making a series of videos in the scenario based question so that it is uh, related to each other. So this is going to be addition of the code which was there in the previous videos. So on top of that code itself, I am trying to handle this error handling and explain you in this video. So first of all, I'll just give a quick uh, information about the project, what all it is there. So I'll just go to pom.xml where you can see that I have multiple dependency added like data.jpa, API, starter wave, Postgres for database, and test for testing, and for validation it is validation dependency. So these are the dependency required, and then this is a Spring Boot project. So here you can see in the folder structure I have controller, I have exception, I have model, I have repository, I have service. This I have already explained in the previous video as well. So if you have gone through those video, here you will not need to require the to know more about the project. But I'm hoping that you know the project structure and all. So I'll just come straight to the error handling part. So how you are going to handle that error? So to handle that error, I have made here exception package where you will see that I have book not found exception and then global exception handler. So first of all, you have to create a exception class like custom exception class. Here I have made this book not found exception. So let me go to that class, and you see that this class book not found exception extends runtime exception, and then it has constructor where it is passing string as an argument, and then it is passing that argument to the super. So first you need to define that custom exception class like this. Once this is done, then like in Spring Boot project we can handle that exception with the global exception handler. Like you can create a class which will be annotated with @rest controller advice. So this becomes global exception handler. You can define all your custom exception class, and then you can give that definition of those exceptions here in this rest controller advice. So here you see I have created a method called handle book not found, and here I am just defining my custom object for error response. Based on my requirement, I can set that error response and I can send back to the client. So this method which I have written here, you see I have created error body, and in error body I am just setting error message and status, and then returning with the response entity. We are annotating this method with exception handler, and we are passing what type of exception we want to handle. So here the exception I want to handle is book not found exception, so I have just given this class. So this was like how we'll define the custom exception, how we are going to create a custom error response. So this is all about that. Once this is ready, now I need to create that APIs where I will try to fetch the detail of the book, and if it is not found in the database, it should return this book not found exception with the custom response. So let's move to now book controller. So here I have created this API. So get book by ID, which is taking this ID as a path variable, as a parameter. So when you call this API, you need to pass that ID of the book for which you are trying to fetch the detail from the database. And if it is not found in the database, it should return you that custom error response. So here we have this book service where we are calling this get book by ID, and it will return that book, and we are returning this book in a response entity. So let's go to this get book by ID, and here we are trying to catch that exception. If it is not found, we are catching this exception book not found exception here. So let's say we have a book repository where we have a method called find by ID, and if that book is found, it will not go to this else throw because book is already present in the database. But if it is not present, it will go to or else throw and catch this. It will throw this book not found exception with this message. So, and this is built-in method by JPA. So if you know that we are using JPA for this database query, so there are some built-in method which are already there provided by the JPA, so we use that. So this is one of them, like find by ID. So you can get this method by JPA, and you can use to get uh, data from the database using ID. So this is how that API is written. Now I'll just show you by fetching the detail through Postman. So let's move to Postman, and here is the URL. So first I will try to get the details for which that data is available in the database. So let's say I'll give one. Oh, before this I need to start the project. So I had already stopped this project before that, so I'll start the project again. So now you see the project got started here on port 8080. So let's go to Postman now, and here you see I have given the book ID 1, as I explained in the code that we are passing book ID in the argument. So now let's call this API, and here you see in the response I am getting the details of the book. So ID is 1 and title is 1984. Similarly, I'll just call with the ID 2. You can see that I got the detail for ID 2. But now I'll try to call this API for the ID which is not present in the database. It means that for that ID there is no record in the database. So something I'll just write 212 and call this API. And here you see the response which I created in the code, that response is getting shown here. So error is not found, and message is book with ID 212 is not found because the ID which I have passed is 212, and then status is 404. So here also you can see that it is showing 404 not found. So this is how we will handle the exception in the Spring Boot project. So if someone asks about this scenario, like you are trying to fetch something from the database and that is not present in the database, how are you going to handle this exception with the custom response? So this is how we are going to explain from the implementation point of view. So you can say like this, and you can use any database. For this I have used MySQL, Postgres. So here you can see I have already data stored in the book table. So you can see I have already data stored in the this table. So here we have this book detail. So this is how you can store data in the database. And you have to, if you answer like this in the interview, interviewer will be satisfied and it will be good for you to get the chances of selection becomes more. So I hope that I was able to make you understand how we are going to handle this scenario based questions. And still you have any doubt or still you have some confusion that how we are going to handle it, you can let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to help you. And if you have not subscribed yet my channel, please subscribe it and don't forget to comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.